And Il Condolo's joined us. Big Manchester United fan, talkSPORT reporter as well, presenter, all those good stuff. Your boys, good season? Score your season out of 10.
Do you know what? It's quite difficult.
It's an easy question, Anil.
No,
it's an easy question.
Considering the way it ended, it was quite a disappointing finish. But
Yeah.
I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, considering it's his first season.
What, you're giving Manchester United season an 8?
8 out of 10.
It's huge.
No, for Erik Ten Hag,
You win the
more
League Cup
specifically.
and it's an 8.
Wow, you are going to batter me.
Wow,
aren't you?
1 second. So
aggressive,
wait, one
yeah.
second. So what would it have been then if you won the FA Cup and the league? You would have given it a 10 then?
We'll give it a 9, and then the Premier League will give it a 10. But no, jokes aside, I mean, come on, first season,
Solid
trophy, get the monkey
6.
off his back.
Solid 6.
It's a great season,
Solid
I think,
6.
for his first year.
I think overall there's some truth in what Neil's saying here. I think
It's
you're
not
being
an
a
eight,
little
it's
bit
not
too
an eight.
harsh.
Come on, no, Rory.
You've got to think, think about the mess that they were
Rory,
in
I'm
the
of an
previous
age
year.
where I remember United winning doubles and a treble,
No.
leagues back
But
to
they're not
back.
that club anymore.
Yeah,
You have to
unfortunately, them years have gone now.
Remember, he took over from Ralph Rangnick, a man that was totally and utterly out of his depth in that job. Like, when you look at Ralph Rangnick's CV to get that job, like his CV's, like the jewel in the crown of his CV, was winning an Intertoto Cup with Stuttgart in the year 2000. Suddenly he's at the helm of Manchester United.
Was it Stuttgart? Was that the team?
I think so, yeah.
I don't
Like
know.
an Intertoto Cup.
Fact
though.
check that, by the way.
It's
Rory's
definitely-
very good at doing that.
it's
I'm not
definitely
quite
an
sure if that's
Intertoto
true.
Cup in the year
It
2000.
was that. I just don't know if it was
And then he's
Stuttgart.
in the Manchester, like practically 20 years later, he's in the Manchester United hot seat, trying to deal with like huge names.
All right. Still not an 8.
So off the back of Rangnick, though, the worst manager that they've had post Fergie, arguably the worst manager that they've ever had, it was a shambles. Ten Hag's come in, he's put his own stamp on it, he's done an awful lot of good, he's won a trophy, he's secured top 4.
So what's this
What are you
good
being
cop,
so
bad cop?
harsh
What's
to
this
Anil
good,
for?
good cop, bad
There
cop?
we go, yeah. Thanks,
Look,
Rory.
this is the transfer show. Let's talk transfers. The 2 players that you've been linked with heavily in the last, few days have been Jordan Pickford, Mason Mount. Do you want either of them?
Do you know, okay, well, we'll start with Pickford because obviously it's the hot topic at the moment, isn't it? And I just don't understand this perception that he is the answer to what Ten Hag needs. I don't really recall him, playing out from the back properly. He's got good distribution in terms of a long ball. I think he's very good at that. But realistically, he's more on the traditional side, if you like, in terms of, staying on his line, shot stopping. And realistically, besides a few better passes than De Gea, it's going to be a similar situation where United eventually will hopefully anyway
Is he better than De Gea?
Yes.
Jordan Pickford's better than De Gea,
Jordan-
like 100%.
Of
I
course
don't know
he
if he is,
I wouldn't go so
if he
far
is.
to say of course he is.
No.
There's an argument there, certainly.
Do you think they're
but
even comparable?
Oh, stop it,
Oh,
Rory. Of course
come
they're
on, Rory.
comparable.
I don't think
What is this?
I'd be any more motivated or happy to see Jordan Pickford in goal over De Gea. I think it's neither here or there, really.
I think it's so much. It's like when you think about what David De Gea has done last season. Remember, he's playing it for a side that have had a fairly decent season by your own admission. He's got players like Rafael Varane and Martinez in front of him. He's got an excellent defensive block in front of him. He's got a decent midfield. He's playing for a winning club. And he's had a pig's ear of a season.
No, he's had a pig's ear towards the back end of the season.
He's had a
I
bad
just-
season.
I just don't
big
think if
moments
you
as
get,
well.
I just don't think you let go of the hair and you upgrade to
Bring in
Pickford.
Pickford.
I don't think it's that much of an upgrade. If you want to upgrade, go and upgrade.
It's a
Do you know what I
sidestep,
mean?
isn't it, really?
It's for me, it's a sidestep.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is
It
very
really is a
harsh on
sidestep.
Jordan
Oh,
Pickford.
what about Mason Mount?
That's
then?
what I don't understand. Do you know what? Mason Mount's a really difficult one for me. Obviously, I heard you earlier, Rory, on H&J discussing Mason Mount and how disappointed from a Chelsea perspective you'd be. Obviously, homegrown talent and all of that. Look, don't get me wrong. He's obviously an upgrade to what we've got. He'd come in and replace Eriksen, as you alluded to earlier, Rory. And he's obviously going to be a player who, works hard, gives his all. But to be honest, I think I've been scarred by Weghorst in terms of this. He works really hard. I just don't think we can lower ourselves
You've
to a
had a
standard
mare, Anil.
of saying
That's
oh,
cheeky.
they just work really hard. And
Nah,
look,
he's
obviously,
better-
Mason
he-
Mount is
he-
technically
he does
he's
more than
technically a
that.
lot better.
This
right?
is a howler.
But
this is a howler
It's not.
from
It's
you.
not at all,
You
Rory.
can't
Just listen to what I'm
compare
saying.
Wouty
If
Weghorst.
the first thing you say about a football player is he works hard, I'm sorry. In every job you have, whether it's being a bin man or it's a superstar on a basketball court or a football pitch, you work hard. It's your job to do. That's why you get paid. And especially from a footballing perspective, you get paid so much because you're meant to work hard. If that's the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about a player,
No. Is that
I
what he
just
said?
don't
Is
know.
that what he said?
No,
Is that
I'm
what
not
he
saying that
said? Is that
specifically,
what the
Rory, but
general?
that's a general consensus of Mason Mount. One of
Mason
his
Mount's
big
better than
attributes.
that. Like every single top manager picks Mason Mount. Every new Chelsea manager picks him. England manager always picks him.
But Mason
He's
Mount's a
better than
lovely
that.
little footballer, and also
That Weghorst is a striker that really is a defender.
Do you know what, Addy? You're right, Anil. Right, being a footballer, it should be a prerequisite that you work hard. Of course, you should work hard. But the reason why some players who do work hard stand out is because not everyone does. Like, not everybody has that desire to win, desire to cover every blade of grass. Mason Mount does. Mason Mount must be, if you're the opposition team or the opposition manager, he's a thorn in your side consistently. He would be so good for Manchester United. Imagine him playing that sort of left channel instead of Christian Eriksen. Imagine how he would link up with Bruno Fernandes. Imagine the player that, depending on who ends up playing up front, imagine it was Harry Kane. What's Bruno Fernandes, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford?
It's not a bad midfield. When you think of Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount potentially.
I just want to ask you, Rory. So obviously, considering Man United the season where they're at now, next season by logic they should be pushing into the top 2. That's organically the next process of the rebuild, so to speak. Has Mason Mount really genuinely got the capability to take Manchester United to the next level? That's ultimately the question that I and probably a lot of Manchester United fans have as well.
I mean, he took Chelsea to a European Cup.
Yeah, and he got the assist as well, didn't he?
He got the assist in that. Look, he will contribute to basically every game he plays. Even in a game where you might not necessarily think he had a good game, or even a tournament. Let's use the World Cup as an example. People think that he didn't really shine in that World Cup. It wasn't a World Cup that was particularly kind to him. He has a definitive impact on every game he plays. The second penalty that Harry Kane missed?
Yep.
Mason Mount comes off the bench, wins England that penalty. Like, he contributes. He has an actual impact on the result of every game that he plays in. He's a lovely little player. He'd be so good for Manchester United. And certain things in football, I just can't understand them. And this is one of them. The school of thought that suggests that Mason Mount isn't a good player, or certain people don't like him, or the question that comes back at me a lot is, people go, what does he actually do? Just like, I don't know what to say to you, because he is so good. He is excellent at. He's so good.
Calm down a bit though. The way Rory talks is like he's.
I just need a bit more. I just need a bit more than he's so good.
Talking like he's like Zidane and Pirlo put together.
Eddie, do you know what? Two in terms of winning the Chelsea Player of the Year twice, only a few players have done that. And Mason Mount is one of them. Gianfranco Zola is another. Eden Hazard is another. It's the elite. He is part of that club. He is a fantastic player, and I guarantee, and it's painful for me to say this, he would shine at Manchester United. And within a couple of games, the Stretford end would be serenading him with a song. They would be adoring him.